This is a four-leaf clover. It's one of the most well-known good luck charms in the world. In the 1600s, it was thought to be able to ward off witches and mischievous spirits. Later, it was said that if you found a four-leaf clover, you'd meet your soulmate the very next day. Nowadays, it's a more generic good luck charm. But how did this little plant become lucky in the first place? Hello. This is usually where I would put a sponsored segment, but I don't have one this month, so this video is brought to you by my Patreon. Go to patreon.com/generalistpapers or follow the link in the description if you want Patreon-only updates, early access to videos, and more, or if you just want to support me and the work I do. Thanks a lot. Now back to the video. The clover, or shamrock, has been an important national symbol of Ireland for centuries. The term shamrock comes from the Gaelic word simrog, which means little or young clover. There is an argument over which clover species the word specifically refers to, with the two frontrunners being the white clover and the suckling clover. My vote is for the white clover. Because of the shamrock's prominence as a national symbol, it can be assumed that the folklore surrounding clovers originates here in Ireland. And by the way, a shamrock only refers to the three-leafed clover, not a four-leafed one. That being said, the shamrock only became a national symbol of Ireland in the 17th century. This is, granted, a long time ago, but if you're like me, you probably expected it to be a more ancient tradition. Well, writings about the shamrock from this time do seem to refer to the clover in a way that suggests the plant had been an important part of Irish culture for longer. An example of this is the story of St. Patrick. The most famous Irish legend about the shamrock involves St. Patrick. He is the patron saint of Ireland and was the man who brought Christianity to the Irish Celts in the 5th century, who up to that point were pagans. There are many legends surrounding the man. One sees him raising multiple people from the dead, another says he drove all the snakes out of Ireland. But the legend of the shamrock is the one we're concerned with today. You see, St. Patrick sometimes had difficulty converting the local Irish to his faith. They were religious people themselves, and the Druids, their priestly class, were famously good at rhetoric and argumentation. One of the concepts that was difficult to understand was the Trinity. How can your one God be three people, the Celts would ask. St. Patrick picked up a clover from the ground, which was said to be a sacred plant to the Druids, and used it to explain the Trinity. Each of the petals of this plant represents one person of the Holy Trinity, he would say, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, but it is still one plant. This analogy, which is still often used today in Sunday schools, was apparently enough to convince many of the pagans to convert to the Christian religion. So did this story actually happen? Probably not. The tale first appeared in 1726, when a botanist, Caleb Threkeld, wrote a treatise on the native plants of Ireland. In it, he mentioned the story of St. Patrick and the shamrock. It is almost certain the story predates this text in oral histories passed down generations, but we don't know when it originated. Also, there's no evidence the Irish Druids held the clover in any special regard. This might be surprising, as it is often a fact parroted in many books and essays. But despite many an article claiming this, there isn't any real proof of it. This is actually true of much of what we think we know about the Celtic pagans, as they didn't leave much writing behind at all. It was during the Romantic era that many of the myths surrounding the ancient Celts were made up. Also, the Irish pagans already had multiple triune deities, from the goddess Brigid, who was sometimes one goddess and sometimes three sisters, and the Morrigan, who likewise came either as one or three. So it's unlikely that they would have been overly confused about the Trinity. So that explains the shamrock and why it's an important symbol for the Irish, but what about the four-leaf clover, the subject of today's video? Well, the earliest mention of the lucky four-leaf clover is from an English writer and politician named Sir John Milton. In 1620 he wrote, "If a man walking in the fields find any four-leaved grass, he shall in a small while after find some good thing." Again, it's almost certain that this superstition predates this piece of writing. By this point, the clover had become an important symbol for the Irish and was seen as a special plant in the British Isles. And because finding a four-leaf clover is exceedingly rare, and anything rare is seen as special and auspicious, this superstition evolved into what we know today. But how rare is a four-leafed clover really? It's often said that 1 in every 10,000 clovers has 4 leaves. But more recent scientific studies have found it to be a bit more common, about 1 in every 5,000. An average patch of clovers has only a couple hundred flowers, so finding a 4-leaf clover is indeed very uncommon. So if you find one, make sure to keep it. It might just bring you good luck. Thanks for watching my video. If you'd like to support me and what I do, please consider donating to my Patreon. The link is in the description. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye!